Hello students, this is Mr. Schellenberg here, and I just wanted to go through some algebra review now that you've had some time off and coming back to it. I wanted to do a quick review tutorial here just to remind everyone how algebra should be done. Okay, so first off, you've got to remember some of the rules, meaning you need to isolate the variable. And in this first question here, 2n is equal to 10, the variable is n, and we need to isolate that by itself on that side. And then, which brings us to the next rule, which is you're allowed to do anything on either side as long as you do the same thing on both sides of the equal sign. So in this case, to get rid of the 2 in front of the n, the coefficient, 2n means 2 times n. So in order to get rid of the 2, you have to do the opposite. And the opposite of 2 times n is divide by 2. And whatever you do to one side, you have to do to the other. So that means you have to divide that side by 2. n times 2 divided by 2 is 1n. And we can just write that as n or 1n. But just n is a little bit more straightforward and more conventional. And then 10 divided by 2 is 5. And then that solves this part of the question. The second example here, we have n divided by 5, and I want to remind you that a fraction is always a division question in disguise, so n over 5 really means n divided by 5 is equal to 4. So in this case, we want to isolate the variable again by doing the opposite, and the opposite of divide by 5 is times 5. And whatever I do to one side, I have to do to the other. And then n times 5 divided by 5 is 1, so this is 1n, which is equal to 4 times 5 is 20. And I've often said it's good to learn to just circle your final answer just to make it easier when things get a little bit confusing. The second thing here, this third question, is kind of like combining like terms. So in this case, we have 2 like terms here, and perhaps I'll even change the little question a little bit. Let's say we also had a plus 2 here. And so the like terms that we have here is an n and an n. Those are alike. And over here we have a 10 and a 2. Those are alike. And so when you combine like terms, you can do that with anything that are terms that are alike. So here we ask ourselves, how many n's are there? And we have 2 n's, so n plus n gives us 2n. And on this side, 10 and a 2 are similar like terms, so 10 plus 2 is 12. So that rewrite simplifies that. And then now we have a question that's similar to the first question, which is this means 2 times n, so the opposite of times 2 is divide by 2, and you must do that to both sides. And then n times 2 divided by 2 is 1, so that leaves 1n here. And then 12 divided by 2 is 6. And then here's our final answer. And it's also important to realize that rewrites count for marks. So doing this one rewrite makes this move worth 1 mark and the final answer worth 1. And then in this case here, because there were crossouts in this question here, just doing these crossouts and this work here is worth 1 mark also, and this is worth 1 mark. And then doing this crossout here and doing this work there makes this worth 1 mark and this worth 1 mark. So this is out of 2, this one's out of 2, and this one's out of 2. Okay? So then to go to some more examples here. Here we have a larger question, and in this case, first thing you have to do is combine like terms. First thing, combine like terms. Okay? So, in this case, now this one is alike to this one, and this one is alike to this one. Okay, so we need to combine the ones that are alike. All right? So, because I like to deal with the positives, and it doesn't matter which way the variables go, they can be on either side of the equal sign, I'm going to choose to take away 2n from this side, which means I then have to take away 2n on the other side. Okay? And 2n, take away 2n is 0, so I can cross that out, which leaves plus 5, is equal to 3n take away 2n, which leaves me with 1n left over, take away 15. And now, this term is like this term. So I have a minus 15 on this side, so I'm going to add 15 on this side, but I'm allowed to do that as long as I add 15 on this side. That makes 0 on this side, so I can cross it out, and an n is left over on that side, and on this side I have 5 plus 15, which gives me a positive 20. And again, you can circle the final answer. So, first off, I combined like terms, and then 2, I tried to isolate the variable. Okay, and then I also did the opposite. On both sides. Okay? Now, of course, I do crossouts and rewrites, and of course, I had work to do on this part of the question, so that's worth 1. This rewrite's also worth 1, and the final answer is worth 1. So this would be worth a total of 3 marks. Okay? One more example to go here. Okay, there's also substitutions. So in this case, I'm telling you that n is equal to 5, and b is equal to 2. So the first thing you always have to do is put the substitutions into the equation and then solve. So in this case here, 3n, this n is a 5, so I will substitute the n for a 5, and then rewrite the question. And the b is a 2, and so I need to put a 2 in there, and now that question has been substituted. Now don't forget over here that as soon as I have two numbers side by side like that without a symbol at all, it means times. Okay? So that really means 3 times 5. And over here, this really means 5 times 2. And so to solve this question, I now go 3 times 5 is 15. Replace it there. And this is a 5 plus, and I always have to do multiplication before I do addition, so 5 times 2 is 10. And now I can just combine these like terms. In this side I have 15 is equal to, and look at that, it's equal to 15, so this is true. Done. And on this side over here, same thing. You take each one, in this case it's a 5, a b is actually worth 2, and 2, and a b is actually worth 2 over here. And then over here we have a 4, and an n is worth 5, and bracket minus 6. Okay? So now 5 times 2 equals 10, plus 2 times 2 is 4, is equal to 4 times 5 is 20, take away 6. And over here we have 10 plus 4 is 14, and 20 take away 6 is 14 also, and look at that, it's true. So those are substitutions. Thank you very much for listening, and I hope this was helpful. If you have any questions, send me an email. Have a great day.